Welcome everybody to today's episode of Beyond Medicine, which we'd like to call as Integrating Medicine and Literature. We are very happy to have students and alumni of AIMS Rishikesh. The first one being Dr. Sushma Amresha. She's the baby of the team. She's from the 2024 batch of MBBS and is the club representative of their book club, which is called Books, Banter and Beyond. Sushma loves reading and is drawn to works rooted in mystery, psychological thrillers, and crime. You're a girl after my heart, Sushma. She enjoys narratives that challenge perception and keep the reader questioning what they think they know. It sort of feels like, when we are trying to diagnose a patient with some obscure disease, that's the feeling she likes to bring. She also writes, and she feels it helps channel her curiosity. Sushma believes medicine is closely tied to storytelling and that every patient brings a narrative shaped by biology and circumstance. Warm welcome to you, Sushma.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot for inviting us today.
So you have to give the credit to Dr. Puneet there. So Puneet, as
Thank
you
you,
all
sir.
know, is part of the Marvelous Medicine Brigade, if you will. And forever he's been talking about this wonderful book club that runs in AIMS Rishikesh, and he said it's one of the clubs that got even better after he left. And so he was very keen that you should all come on Marvelous Medicine. And the go-to person was Chetana Mekina. She's from the 2023 batch of MBBS at AIMS Rishikesh, and she's the head honcho, club head of the book club. She's inclined towards literature that explores the mundane and challenges her understanding of human emotions, though she also enjoys the classic whodunit. Chetna is constantly seeking new ways to express herself creatively. She sings, dances, writes, reads, does textile art, and many more things. And she believes that these pursuits actually help her show up better in her academic life, other than, of course, providing the much needed respite from the daily grind. For Chetna, medicine is a way to connect with people and to learn new stories every day. Thank you, Chetna, for putting this team together. We are really looking forward to it.
Thank you for inviting us, ma'am. We're very excited to be here.
Joining them is Dr. Harikrishna Kodamana. He's from the 2020 batch of MBBS at AIMS Rishikesh and is currently doing his internship. He was previously the literary secretary of the AIMS Rishikesh Students Welfare Foundation Association. He's interested in literature across cultures with a strong preference for serious modern writing and politically aware narratives. He loves discussing about history, political theory, and comparative governance. I'm sure it gets quite heated up these days, Hari.
Definitely, ma'am.
He believes literature helps understand medicine beyond the technical aspects. Welcome, Hari, and thank you for giving me a peek into what you guys are going to do today.
Thank you so much.
Last but not the least, the senior person of the team is Dr. Tanya Chauhan. She's a MBBS, MD radio diagnosis resident at the Maulana Azad Medical College in Delhi and is an alumna of AIMS Rishikesh. Tanya finds meaning in creative expression, along with contributions to literary anthologies and academic articles during her MBBS. She has published a collection of poems titled Erlebnisse. I had to actually Google the word and also try to, I'm sure I didn't get the pronunciation right, but it's Erlebnisse by Tanya.
It's just a Spanish word. It just represent to express oneself. That's it. That's the whole point of this whole book.
So anyway, Google and Gemini say it's a German word with meaning lived subjective experiences.
Forgot myself.
As personally felt and interpreted by an individual. So it's Tanya's story in her own words. Her other interests include visual arts, music, dance, and reading, which she believes helps her stay curious and reflective. Tanya has been class rep across school, undergrad, and in her residency, and not surprisingly, the cultural secretary during her MBBS. She aspires to be a clinically sound and academically rigorous diagnostician. As clinicians, we really look to have a good radiologist in our team while supporting and learning alongside her peers. Welcome, everybody, and I request Puneet to say a few words before Sushma takes it away.
Thank you, Vidya, for having this whole team. I think the biggest pleasure I had about this club was it was an autopilot. Even for this moderation, we didn't need to get faculty. Dr. Shalini is there, Dr. Nandi was there as president, Latika, a lot of people are there, but these guys. We enjoyed as much as faculty as equal partners in the group. I'm still a member of that book, Banter and Beyond. I enjoy the banter that goes on. It makes me think a lot. I think there's lots to be learned from the youngsters these days, not just the AI bits and all that. And it's particularly heartening because um as a generation, I see book reading being reduced to reels and all that kind of stuff. So it was such a breath of fresh air when all these guys are discussing, all the classics as well as the new stuff. And Vijay, one of the psychiatrists at AIMS Rishikesh, will come up with a lot of talk. So I think it keeps everybody on their intellect, and for me, it fights dementia as well. So I think it's a fantastic way that they've done, and I look forward to seeing what they have to do. Thank you, Vidya.
Am I audible right now, ma'am?
Yes, Sushma, you are. We can see our
I was
screen
I
as
was
well.
saying just how like reading and literature and everything helps us get different qualities like empathy and having patience and even solving like complex situations very calmly. And this love for reading and writing is like what made me join the club as well. And so far, I've had lots of fun meeting different people and participating in the events and everything. And it's definitely helped me grow in the past 2 years. That's all. I'll pass it on to Chetna ma'am to talk.
Uh, I'll be taking over to talk more about our literary society and our club. So I have a small presentation with a bunch of photos, and I'll be sharing that now. Uh, just a minute.
Whose
Right.
screen is being shared?
My screen, ma'am.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Hi, everyone. I'm Chetna again, an MBBS third year student, and I'm here to talk about our literary society and mainly our club, Books, Banter, and Beyond. And I'm very excited that you guys get to a little peek into our club today. So, this is our Instagram handle, first of all. If any one of you is on there and would like to know a little bit more about our activities, you can find us at literary.arswa. So, talking about our literary society, we actually started operations back in 2015, and we originally had 6 groups within our literary society. So, we focus on debate, books, quiz club, a research club, a writing club, and a oration club. And recently, we've also added an MUN club. So, we are planning on hosting an MUN within the next year. So, we are working really hard on that. And we might also have a TED Talk coming this year. So we're very excited for that. But all of these books are not exclusive of each other. We are always trying to cooperate with each other and hold events that combine a lot of things. Like our book club also combines with our art club, or we also combine with our creative writing club. So we always have fun events and we can switch up things for people so that they stay engaged and not bored. So, how we started our Books Banter and Beyond Club was that we actually had Dr. Arunima ma'am, who is a psychiatrist in our college, and she suggested incorporating books with like life lessons. So a small group of people came together initially. I was not a part of this group, but Hari boss was, and so they came together in a small group and started discussing about books. And initially it was very small scale. It was in our youth center, and then we shifted to the mini Audi. So we sort of scaled, and now it has become this club where there are people from a lot of different batches and even nursing students and lots of other people. And our faculty is very involved with us, so we're very grateful for that. And I just have a few pictures of some of our events that we held. And this is one of our sessions of Books Banter. And we can also see that our faculty, Dr. Shalini ma'am, is also with us. And this is another session that we did. where it was a collaboration with our creative arts club where all of us joined and we had to draw characters or people from our favorite books. So we can see that people are quite talented in drawing also. They doodled their favorite books and comics and Matilda and things from Pride and Prejudice. So it was a really interesting event because some people find it intimidating to sit down and just talk about books, or some people who are new to reading find it a little bit intimidating to show up to meetings like these and talk about their books, which is what we've realized from our peers. So we try to make things fun and interesting so that people will be more free and feel more comfortable in coming to join us and understand that we're not intimidating people at all and just really a bunch of people trying to talk about our interests. And we have another meeting, which this was in collaboration with our creative writing club. So people were given lines and they just had to continue writing on it. And it's really interesting. I mean, you can see a lot of common people. I guess we have a lot of the same interests. And this is also in association with the Creative Writing Club. And this was a session which was really interesting because we have our faculty, Dr. Dilip sir, and we initially started off our read to a session in the mini Audi, and then later we shifted to the mortuary, as Dilip sir is a faculty of FMT, and we were discussing about books, and that was a really fun and cool way of integrating medicine. So we had an outdoor mortuary session, which was also really interesting. And yeah, this is one of our recent sessions. So you can see Dr. Shalini ma'am and Dr. Vijay sir also. We are very grateful that our faculty is so involved. Out of our literary society, we have a bunch of clubs, and all of these clubs are very active. We try to do an event at least once a month. And usually the clubs are rotating, but like our really active clubs are Books Banter and Beyond and our quiz club. And recently our research club, Roar, has also become very involved and they have been hosting research meetups, which is called RCT, Research Catch Up and Tea. So it's a way where people are gathering who are interested in research and we are just talking about it and they're introducing research methodologies with from people who are more experienced. We've had our Professor Meenu ma'am also join in and have a session. So that's really interesting. And all these activities which were not there before, these are really serving as a creative outlet for people because it's hard to find people you can just go and talk to your favorite book about or just go and start discussing theories or stories about, but this is serving as a way for all of those people, albeit maybe not that big group right now, to just find other people and talk about it. And our literary society also hosts a really big event, which is known as Litmania during Pyrexia. So we have multiple events, and this year was our biggest year for Litmania because we are trying to think about how we can make people more interested in participating in literary events. Because people tend to shy away from them or think that they would be more boring or it would just be something that you just sit around and not really have a lot of fun at. So we are trying to think about how we can make things more fun for other people and how we can entice them to join us and put their literary skills to test. So we have a lot of events and our quiz club mainly holds our biggest events, which would be Biocrux Junior and Senior, which are all India level quizzes. And we had so much participation this year. We have a poetry event where people write and recite their own poetry. We had that in English, we had that in Hindi, we had a bilingual debate, and we also did a literary Pictionary in contrary to a normal Pictionary where we put a lot of book characters, famous book characters, and book quotes, and all of these things that us as readers are so interested in, and they're almost nostalgic to us because these are things that we have been reading and following through since we were kids. So that was really interesting how people would draw and explain literary characters. And we also had an event which is known as Jam, in which we gave people random topics and they have to talk about it on the spot for a minute. So it's really cultivates people's vocational skills and all these other things that will be so useful for them in other aspects of their life. For example, being a doctor, you'd have to be very well spoken. I think people expect doctors to be well spoken, and I think it kind of helps by giving such random topics and you just talk about it on the spot, and it becomes really interesting to see who can make the topic the most interesting, the most fun. And we also introduced a new event, which was the literary treasure hunt. So we made that. I have some pictures of that right here. So in our treasure hunt, we did have a decent amount of participation. And to think about how we could incorporate literature into treasure hunt, we had this fun idea of taking really famous quotes or items from books that we all have read, know, and love. And we made hints like on where we could hide specific items throughout the class. So one round was where people had to read a riddle that was given, find out which book it was related to, and find out which location in the class the item was hidden at. Another round was where we made riddles in association with our creative writing club, and all people had to answer those riddles. And we had a very fun Wordle round also. Wordle, which is becoming really famous right now. So we incorporated that and we incorporated crosswords. So it was a really interesting way to bring together all of these people. Here we have people who participated in the treasure hunt, and these are people who were talking in the jam. And so we just had a lot of people, and it was very exciting to see people participate so enthusiastically and share our common interest. So that was very rewarding. And when we basically, after our entire pyrexia, we had a huge combined literary effort to make this Litmania as big as it could be in the past few years. And we managed to gather even some sponsors, and it was really exciting to bring so many people's vision to life through so much hard work. And we host a gathering every single year post Pyrexia to celebrate our hard work in the what we have done for our literary society. And you can see there are so many people who were involved this year. The group keeps getting bigger and bigger every single year, so that's very exciting. With the addition of more groups like the Oration Club and the MUN Club, it just keeps getting bigger, and we're very excited to have more people in our family. And as a recent effort, we have also started our school newsletter, which is known as Vox Medica, which is something we started in 2025. So this is really exciting because we talk about any event that is happening in our college or whatever festivals are going on, or if some batch has any exams or any sort of significant event that's happening in our college, we write about it. A bunch of people come together and we try to make it witty and funny and just put our own literary approach to it. So you can find this also on our Instagram page at Literary Ursva, and you should read it. I mean, I would ask you guys if you had the time to read it, if you can. It's very interesting, if I do say so myself. And our student Sushma also has written a short story in Vox Medica that's published in the recent issue. So that is really interesting. I thoroughly enjoyed reading that. So I think it would be a fun little read if anybody was interested in reading it. And that's how we kind of ended off our sixth Pyrexia, with our literary events more successful than ever. And I also wanted to talk about, we started this recent initiative, recent as in, oh God, excuse me. Mhm. Yeah, sorry about that. We started a recent initiative 2 to 3 years ago, which was Almanac. So our literary society started.
Chetna, can you turn your camera on because we can't see you? Yeah.
Oh, is it visible now, ma'am?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, ma'am. Sorry, it kind of glitched in between. Right. So we recently started a initiative that was an almanac. So one of our batches tries to sit and design a diary, which we give to every batch that joins as our juniors. And this year and last year, when I joined the college, we received an almanac, which I think Hari was leading that team. And so we were very excited to give the almanac, and it's nice to see our effort come into fruition. And we are very excited to do all of these things. And we were about to hold a read to us session last Friday, and but we couldn't do that because there was a storm here, so that we could talk about our favorite books, and maybe you could also talk about your favorite books if you'd like, and we'd have a great discussion. So I'll pass it back to Sushma.
Tanya, you need to turn on your camera and your mic.
Sorry, ma'am.
Yeah. Good to have you back. Go ahead.
I'm just reading a small verse from my own book because I couldn't bring my books here. So I'm just reading a small verse out of it. It's close to my heart. Just try to like figure out what all I'm trying to read. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I was just sitting one day and I just saw things that happening all around me. So it just came out from my heart that today's weather wasn't that positive. Today's weather wasn't that positive because a feeling was missing. Feeling of empathy, feeling to reach the depth of the hidden darkness of one's heart. Yeah. Exendiates wandering all around. Okay, I might pronounce it wrongly, but this terms means a person who fakes smile, a person who like try to cover his emotion. So such kind of people, they're wandering all around, making a person himself to stuck in his with his own fights. So that person who is fighting his own battles, that person who tries to cover his emotions, such kind of people, they are wandering all around. Rather than being pulled out of their own problems, such kind of people, they are dragged into the pits of their unexplained guilt. But what one shall do, what the other person should do, what all the people all around that person should do, they should embrace the person as it is. No judgments shall be passed. Don't ask for any kind of proof or clues from that people already hold a lot within, wanted to be listened, wanted to be heard. Please try, please cling to those people, and please try to give your ear to that person, because that person who is fighting, who needs you the most. Thank you. It was like in 2021 I wrote that. Thank you.
That was very, very moving and uplifting, ma'am. Thanks a lot for telling us. So I'll ask Hari Boss to continue.
Also, I just wanted to interject if anybody had anything they wanted to share regarding this passage that ma'am read out or wants to talk about it more, we can discuss about that because that's usually how our read to a session goes. So we just want to kind of open this up for discussion if anybody wants to talk about that.
I think we can do that after the session. We can continue with the.
Okay. Okay, sir. Hari Boss could take the stage. So this is the book that I wanted to talk about. It's called Heaven. It's written by Miko Kawakami, who is a Japanese author, and this book has been translated into English. And I read this book recently, and it kind of stayed with me. The premise of this book is basically two kids who were intensely bullied, and they come to find this unconventional friendship, or maybe you could say that it was conventional, where they bonded throughout their trauma. But the book kind of focuses on how people's response to that is very different, where one of the protagonists delves in a completely different way, where she is okay with her quirks and she's okay with what makes her bullied because she thinks that is what makes her unique. And she is okay with getting bullied because she thinks that's what she is serving as her life purpose, to make some people realize later on in their lives that what they did was wrong and become better people. And on the other hand, we have this polar opposite, this other guy who just wants to fit in and wants to be a part of other people and not stand out anymore and be separate. And through this journey, like, they kind of bonded and they fought and they bickered and they came together. And it was really interesting to see different perspectives on these issues, because I think they are very different from what I would have thought or expected in this situation. And that's why this book kind of stayed with me for a long time. And if anybody wants to read it, it's a really good book. I don't know if I did it justice through my explaining, but it's a really good book. And I'll pass it on to Sushma to talk about her book.
Yes, ma'am. So I am going to speak about this book, which is Wrong Place, Wrong Time. It's like nothing really deep or profound or hello. So I was just saying that it's not really like deep or profound. It's the most recent book I've read, so I remembered this few lines. So the paragraph goes like the hindsight paradox, he continues. When he's bought the donuts, everyone thinks they knew what was going to happen. They said, I knew it all along. But actually, they would say that no matter what the outcome, because our brains are so good at considering every possibility that so that we always known whenever anything was about to happen. So it shows this paragraph like shows that how we always tend to overthink situations and always we subconsciously run through all possible outcomes and just like with our past experiences we just have like more knowledge about decision making and consequences and perspectives of different people. It's just that I felt that people would relate to this. That's all. I would like Hari Boss to now talk about his book.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so sorry. My connection had just blown out prior to my session. So, good evening to one and all once again. So, before starting, I would just like to show the diary, the almanac that my juniors actually made for their 25 batch juniors. So, it usually takes around 2-3 months of their hard work and preparation, and they have put in a fantastic work. So I am really grateful to all my juniors who have actually done so well in managing and actually thriving in this particular literary society. So kudos to all of you. So that being said, I'm here. Like I'll be talking about the book that I like the most. So if there's one book that has really made an impact on me, it is essentially Animal Farm. So it's written by George Orwell. It's actually not his real name. So he was essentially a Scot who was actually born in India during the British Raj. So he was disillusioned by all the prevalent caste system and all of that, while he was actually serving as an IPS officer in Burma. Following which he went to Paris and decided to, live amongst the poor to experience what poverty feels like. He became disillusioned once again, and then he decided to serve, to become a communist and a democratic socialist and fight in the Spanish Civil War. And when he saw that the Spanish Civil War ended up, shifting into an authoritarian tone, he became completely disillusioned. And in his final years, he started writing books, one of which is The Animal Farm, the other being 1984. And there are a couple of others, but these two are, I would say, modern history's Bible. Now, I actually write, so I would like to actually share my one of the essays I actually wrote regarding this particular book. And I think that kind of conveys the feelings and the appreciation that I have for this particular book. So essentially, while I was actually reading this book, by the time I actually finished it, I was reminded of this poem written in Suzanne Collins' novel Mockingjay. It's part of the Hunger Games trilogy. It's called The Hanging Tree. So this song is usually sung by all these people of all these colonies in the United States to remind themselves time and again of their suffering and helplessness. So by doing that, when they actually regard their common suffering and helplessness, that usually tends to unite the masses and disillusion the poor, thereby giving rise to a new dawn of opportunity, freedom, and equality. So essentially, I personally believe that George Orwell's book, The Animal Farm, is essentially our Mockingjay, our hanging tree, because it has actually, it is like a vision to the future, and also a kind of a book that shows us the perils of unchecked authority. So what Orwell writes, the world enacts. So his writings were meant to serve as a harbinger to the dangers of political extremism. So they were intended to serve as a crucial antidote to populism, which injects the venom of extremism into our pliable, gullible minds. Yet we continue to seek and relish the forbidden fruits of hate and hypocrisy, which our moral compass seldom tries to avoid. So how is it that we always manage to end up worse off from where we started? How is it that humans are so good at trapping ourselves in the same problem we set to solve? So I personally believe that it is through the weaponization of fear. So fear is essentially the primordial emotion authoritarians learn to wield. And through fear, authoritarians usually deliver hope. And since hope is the ultimate ecstasy, it is what propels the vigor of man and beast, helping them to tolerate starvation, destitution, and even depression. So when you see, if you look around, you will see ample examples of this everywhere. So as each election comes, and this is actually a global phenomenon, in every corner of the world, there will be new slogans, new campaigns that always talk about a brighter future, a brighter future. It never happens in the present though. So this is done specifically to enshrine hope amongst people, to chain the masses to the wishes, whims, and fancies of the few, who tend to get to live off the struggles of many. Throughout the novel, in this particular novel, we get to see the metamorphosis of the stereotypical revolutionary, the messiah who comes with tales of a new dawn, a new day, a new beginning. We get to see him eventually morph into the very person he detested in the first place, which is the oppressor. So he restores all the societal constructs he dismantled as part of the revolution. And the novel ends in the following lines, which is essentially my favorite lines in this particular book. 12 voices were shouting in anger, and they were all alike. No questions now. What had happened to the faces of the pigs? The creatures outside looked from pig to man, and from man to pig, and from pig to man again. But already it was impossible to say which was which. So these lines were essentially profound, because if anybody has read Animal Farm, they'll get to know that this was actually a tussle between the animals and the humans who own the farm. And when the animals when the animals finally took over the farm, a series of events happened wherein the whole purpose of animalism, the ideology for which the animals fought, corroded and was diminished down to nothing. Right, and there was essentially no difference between the rulers of the animal world, which ran the animal farm, and the farmers who were thrown out from in the beginning. So our principal weakness lies in our natural tendency to think as a herd rather than prioritizing ourselves as individuals. So as long as we are given hope, we tend to slave ourselves off, hoping for a better tomorrow, when in reality it's today that is being taken away from us. So I am constantly baffled by why we rarely embrace our individuality and instead fall into the trap of groupthink. These groups are always ripe for exploitation by opportunistic power seekers, and power, being the ultimate intoxicant, never fails to corrupt and destroy. So this was an essay that I had actually written post reading this book. and I felt to share that as well with all of you. And I hope that if any one of you haven't read this book yet, I would strongly and highly recommend this particular book. There's an additional book written by the same author. It's 1984. It is also profoundly impactful. And I hope my message hasn't offended anybody. And I hope to pass it on back to Sushma.
Thanks a lot, boss, for sharing it. It was actually very profound. So now we'll open to the audience if anyone wants to talk about their favorite book or their favorite phrase or anything.
I request that whoever is interested, please either turn on your video or put up your electronic hand so that we can see if who's the person wanting to speak. Yes, Vani, please unmute yourself.
I think it was Hari. Did Hari speak last?
Yeah, Hari.
Yes, Hari always spoke well, but I would say Hari spoke the best. Only because I could relate. I'm 70 years old, Hari, and my 11th standard book was George Orwell, Animal Farm.
Oh God, great, ma'am.
And so times have not changed. We are on the same page. And because I have a lot of empathy, bit too much empathy, and I see patients for a long time. So working in a corporate hospital, if you don't produce enough patients, you are then sent away. So when I was in the depths of despair, I would just remember power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Absolutely.
And all men are equal and some are more equal than others. And one day before my 70th birthday, you made me feel very young. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, it's my pleasure, ma'am. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And it is very important to read books because in medicine, we never read. You're saying now, the first girl said, when I'm relaxed, I want to read books. We were only studying. So times have changed and it's really great that you have a literary society. Thank you.
Thanks, Vani. Dr. Vani is a senior obstetrician gynecologist. Krish, you have your hand up. Would you like to say something? Can you unmute yourself and if possible, turn on your camera as well, Krish? Okay, till then, over to you guys. Krish is ready. Please unmute yourself, sir.
All right. This Krish is, did you get my camera as well? Yeah, there you go. I'm sorry, I've signed in as Krish here, Dr. Vidya. Normally I signed in as Hari Krishnan, but then I said, might as well not steal the thunder from a youngster who spoke so brilliantly. No, I'm just joking. It just happens to be that I'm working on a laptop rather than at home. I'm traveling now. But I couldn't miss this session because it's so exciting and so interesting to see youngsters trying to look beyond their profession and to do something worthwhile. We all grew up like this. And I think many of you will agree that, but for J.K. Rowling, the art of reading a book would have probably been a dead thing by now. So we must all really remember that reading a book is not just for the sake of getting a few minutes of pleasure, but it also helps you grow, as one of the girls said. And in that connection, I feel that you must read books about medicine by doctors, not medicine as in, not William Boyd, for instance, but you read books by doctors who written about their memoirs, about their own lives, or about their experiences. There are any number of these wonderful books. Many are from my generation, but there are enough and more people writing these days as well. But the most important thing I would like all of you to do is the moment you read a book, don't just talk about it. Go to Goodreads or Amazon.com or something and write a review, because what will happen is you will grow with it, you will get reviews, and you will get responses to your reviews. And over a period of time, the art of reviewing a book will become part and parcel of your life, and that will help you grow with the books that you read. And finally, I would like to say, people said you can talk about the favorite book and all that. The most impressive book I've read in recent times is a book called The Book Thief. I don't know how many of you youngsters have heard about this book.
Marcus Zusak.
Yes, yes. Absolutely. Zusak has done such a wonderful job. It is probably one of the most thought-provoking books you can ever come across, especially from the point of view of the fact that the narrator is completely when you realize who the narrator is, it completely changes your entire viewpoint of what the book is all about. So I will leave it at that, at a suspenseful level, except for Hari, my namesake. You've already read this book, but you must read this book, and please read it at your leisure. And as for doctors, don't ever miss Dr. Abraham Thomas's books, Cutting for Stone, and the other book, Permanent Water, which will give you so much insight into medicine in addition to reading a wonderfully well-written family story. All the best to you guys. You are doing a wonderful job. I'm so impressed that medical students are doing this, and God bless you all. Take care. Thank you.
So, Hari Junior, Dr. Hari Krishnan is a part of quite a few book clubs, and he actually shared the link with them. So maybe some of his book club buddies are also on the call. Gayatri,
Awesome.
you have your camera and hand up. Would you like to say something? Gayatri is a pediatrician who's logged in during working hours from the US. Welcome, Gayatri.
But it's before working hours. It's 7 a.m. in the morning. So I got up and logged on. So I'm in California. Thank you for hosting this. This is a topic very close to my heart because I'm a lifelong reader. The nice thing is I have 4 generations of readers. My grandfather me when I was a child. He was a big lover of books. My mother is a big reader. I'm a big reader, and my daughter is a big reader. So we all exchange books. Of course, my grandfather's no more, but my mother, my daughter, and I, we all recommend and exchange books, even though we are all in different cities. And another thing I wanted to say is that it's so nice to see young people still reading because so many young people don't read anymore. So I'm really happy to see young people reading. And for me, the biggest thing, the best thing about books is you can never be lonely if you have a book anywhere in the world. So I feel like, I always feel I have a friend if I have a book. And and you're right, writing reviews and, discussing books, joining book clubs is a wonderful thing. I'm part of a book club, so we meet every month here in my town in the US, and we discuss. They're all Indian women. We all meet every month and discuss books. Um, One book that I wanted to recommend, it's a nonfiction book. It's called Empire of Pain. It's about the opioid crisis by Patrick Radden O'Cree. Excellent book. So I would highly recommend this book. It's really the history of the whole opioid crisis in the US, but it's so well written and so gripping. It's about the Sackler family. So just have a look at that book. That's all I wanted to say.
Thanks, Gayatri. A quick request to all of you. Please type the names of the books that you're suggesting on the chat box so that, even if somebody didn't catch your words, it'll be there, or they can browse through the chat box to have their own list, for the next month or year. Kalyani, you have your hand up. Would you like to say something? Kalyani is a medical oncologist, again from the United States, who's very passionate about mentoring youngsters. So you must be beyond thrilled to see so many youngsters.
Yeah, this is great. I really enjoyed. I mean, I used the time like commute time and started work late today, and I'm like, yeah, I need to listen to this. This is wonderful. I have never read a single book when even in medical school. Only book I read during medical school was Bhagavad Gita. Every day I used to read for an hour. That's the only book I read. I didn't read even in high school. I guess only, like just the regular books to get into medical school, and during medical school to get into, like, get the pass the test and get into USMLE or whatever. So I have, as a student, I have not read books. So I'm very impressed that these students are able to find time to read books, reflect on them, and then write their essays. This is wonderful. I have only started doing this in my 30s and in my 40s. So, like in my 30s, I started. So, but question for the panelists is like, how are you finding time during medical school years, which are taxing, just getting through the through the day-to-day things. So how are you finding time to manage this book club?
Chetna, you want to go first?
Yeah, ma'am, sure. Uh, Ma'am, like as medical students, I feel like the daily grind and so much that we have to study, it's kind of very mentally taxing on us. And we just try to connect with people on different levels because we meet to discuss about our books, and it just sort of provides us this sort of comfort that we try to make time for no matter where we're at because it's so refreshing after that session. It gives us this mental boost that we don't get otherwise. And
Chetna, if I could just
as to how we
recommend.
get time to read books, I think, yes, ma'am?
No, I think your internet connection is a bit dodgy. Maybe you can turn off your camera.
Ma'am?
We can't hear you properly. Yeah, much better.
Can you hear me now, ma'am? Yeah, so I was saying that we try to make time to read books, and I have some of my other friends who are also avid readers as well. And when we talk about how we get time to read so much, it's like we're giving up on sleep so that we can sit and read because it's so interesting to dive into all these worlds and to just relax, and it sort of serves as a stress buster. And you really do need that in medical school because it's so rigorous with our curriculum and everything that we have to do every day, and it's so hard seeing so many sick people, so we're always looking for that constant respite. And we do gather once a month to come and talk about our books, and it is a much needed thing that we always try to make time for. We put up a poll in our groups to see when people would be the most free so that majority of us can join our meetings because we love talking about books, and it's very refreshing to talk to other people who are also just as interested in literature as you. Uh, if anybody would like to add to that, please go ahead.
Yeah, so you have Tanya, who's not just got through MBBS, but obviously cracked the NEET or whatever exam it was to get into radio diagnosis, which is one of the most difficult ones to enter. So, how do you find the time, Tanya?
Ma'am, I had two friends during my UG time, Vaibhav and Harminder. They were pro readers, and I was the only one who couldn't read anything. So I used to sit with them, and both of these guys used to talk a lot about books, like a lot. So during that time only, I started reading out of FOMO, you can say. So Harminder only suggested a book called Still Like an Artist. It was just a picture book, how to express things, how a artist thinks about things. So I found that book interesting, and by that only I started reading books whenever I got time, whenever I was sitting in an OPD, I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't taking history. Some days I wasn't taking history. I used to sit in the DDR only. I used to read books. By that only I started reading, and I used to and join the book club only. So we just started having small meetings regarding these books, and Punidhar sir started book club. Punidhar sir only started the book club. Uh, so by that only we got used to reading books. We used to have small sessions about that. So by that only I got into reading books. And after my exam only, I had time about 4 to 5 months from my exam and counseling only. That time only I read a lot. Hari only suggested so many books to me. So after that only I continued reading. So before joining this college, I completed about 10 or 12 books, just random books I read. Like Metamorphosis was the last book I read, and it was so heart touching. Tuesdays with Maury, it was so heart touching. These two books, they are so contrasting books. So I felt great. That's how I continued reading. It's been 2 or 3 years I am into reading, and I feel so great, so empathetic about the patient, the people around me, about my juniors, everything. It's a blessing if you are into reading. It's like that for me.
Thank you,
I'd
Tanya.
like to point out that I'd
Yeah.
like to point out that Tanya's All India rank 81 in the NEET. So, this misconception that if you're doing something extracurricular, you don't do well. I'm sure Dr. General Atul Seth, who's from FMC, Dean, would certify that all the kids who do extracurricular actually do much better. Sudeep Naidu, the spouse of our DGFMS, always used to say that, the best guys who did in our batch were the ones who were doing something else. So I think I would like to stress to all the people who think that they don't have time that there is always
Fine,
time, and I think
fine.
the endorphins get you to work harder. In whatever you're doing, reading, studying, preparing for an exam or whatever. The one after joining this group, the Books Banter group, what I'd stopped reading also for a long time. So what I did was actually use audiobooks and walk along the Rishikesh river, the Ganga, and it did both. It improved my fatty liver and with the exercise, and but there are people who say that the reading and the smell of the book and all is a completely different experience.
Ma'am,
Vidya?
so one thing, I've extended that book club here also. I found 2, 3 seniors of mine who are into reading. They gifted me this book today only, and I feel great. I've extended my book club inside this college as well, sir. I feel great. I feel grateful that I was a part of Books Banter and Beyond. I'm so happy being a part of that college. Thank you so much.
We are curious to know
Vidya,
what your current book club is called.
We are we are yet to set a name to that club because we are 2 people only.
Okay. Hope you are 20 by the time you are on Marvelous Medicine next. We have
Fingers
General Atul
crossed.
Seth, Dean FMC on the call. Sir, would you like to say something?
Yes, of course, ma'am. Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you. And when Dr. Puneet spoke, I could immediately make out that, where I got this link from, because just about 8 o'clock, the Director General Armed Forces Medical Services, she sent me this link and I shared it with my undergraduates immediately. And I thought that, why should I miss the chance of being in this wonderful chat? And it's been a very interesting talk. So now a couple of points from my side. That one, that I completely agree that, now being the dean here, that the students who are part of other activities, and AFMC has always, encouraged these, we call them clubs and societies. So we have about 28 of them. And the students who are part of these clubs and societies also do well in academics. And in fact, the last time when we got the university exam results, I did a little analysis. I told my staff that, okay, let us take the top 20 students in merit and the last 20. And also see that, how many of these toppers and those who have not done so well academically are part of these clubs and societies. So what we found was that those who are doing the extracurricular activities, whether it is reading or it is debate or quiz or sports or music, they are also doing well in academics. So that is number one. Second is that we have a literary society here. We have a DNQ, that is a debating and quiz society. And like the young doctors were telling the interesting names at Rishikesh, AIMS Rishikesh, we call it Salkai and Gairai. And the reading room in the boys' hostel, we have named it as the Grey Matter. So just to make it a little interesting for them, to attract them to that place. And I was remembering my times in college. So we used to have a library in the hostel, which we used to call the non-tech library. So this was a library with non-medical books. And now in the AFMC museum, we've got 2 sections of books written by AFMCites, which are non-medical books. And that is about, reading and writing by the doctors. The bar is called PubMed, of course. I think sir has been here. Yes, we call our bar as the PubMed. So those names are there. And what I would like to say is that, we have this festival called Illuminati, where we have all these activities. And I would like to invite all the kids, all the doctors, young doctors from all over to be part of that. And talking about me personally, well, at my home, I am not the one who reads so many books. It is my wife, who is my batchmate from FMC, a pediatrician. She and my daughter were very fond of reading. So it's been wonderful to be part of this chat, and wish you all the best. And we hope to, keep connected from FMC with you guys. Thank you. Thank you, madam.
So pyrexia and can meet Illuminati. I don't know what will be the result. Chandrasekhar McKenna, you've got your camera on. Would you like to say something? Is that your dad, Chetna?
Yes, my dad is also a doctor, so he wanted to join in on this meeting.
Please, would you like to say something? His camera was on.
No, ma'am, I think he's just here to see me.
So one of the people who was excited the minute I shared the link the first time was Dr. Venkatesh Natarajan, a nephrologist from Chennai, who's also very active in our Marvelous Medicine group. He's closely associated with young doctors. And I'm sure you have seen he has posted so many messages in the chat, but I think we'd like to hear directly from you, Venkatesh.
Yes, ma'am. It's so beautiful, so nice to see so many of you youngsters still having this burning desire to read outside of your curriculum. And the medical training is one which actually kills all your extracurricular activities. I used to paint, and during school days, the moment I joined medical college, and for the next 15 years, I didn't paint at all. And when I hit 50, that's the time I started painting again. And so the same thing was with books as well. So I used to read, I read voraciously in my mother tongue, Tamil. So a lot of authors in Tamil, and predominantly historical fiction and non-fiction. And of late, I've become a kind of a serious reader, reading more into kind of philosophical thoughts and stuff. And it's so, I was quite fascinated when I saw Hari. He said that he read Animal Farm and was quite taken by the book and Orwell's writing. I mean, that kind of serious reading must be part of the curriculum, I feel, in medicine. We should introduce humanities also as a subject in for the medical training doctors, at least in the first and the second year. And it's hard to find a bunch of bibliophiles together in a medical college. Mostly people make fun of them. I don't know how you guys manage. Are you guys being kind of, a nerdy group? So a lot of people stay away from you, or your friends all kind of encourage you to be part of the club and do what you do? How does that happen?
So Sushma, being the youngest of the lot, maybe you should share your experience. How you joined this nerdy
I
group?
think they're very interested in knowing what happens in a book club, because not many of them are like serious readers. So they always are interested in joining the games, the events that we uh, like conduct. So I don't think they're like being called nerdy and all. No,
Great.
they're pretty interested in joining the events and everything.
So glad to hear that. I mean, that's fantastic to kind of have a nest of bibliophiles amongst, the daily humdrum of managing medical college curriculum and seeing sick people. It's fantastic to see a lot of you reading. But I would strongly suggest and encourage you to go and explore more non-fiction during this part of the kind of your career. And my daughter also reads voraciously, and she keeps reading. I can't even know the names of some of her authors. Just this Kamakami or whatever author that somebody was sharing, Heaven, a book called Heaven. She was reading this book, and I asked her, "Would you like to tell me something about this book? Looks like an interesting one." And she said, "You won't understand, Daddy." That's it. That's the end of the story. So there's a huge generational shift. But fantastic, madam. Fantastic for asking me to meet these youngsters, and so happy to see them. Thank you. Thank you all.
Gayatri, you had your hand up again. Did you want to say something?
No, I wanted to say, I wanted to just share when I was in the hostel in Jipmar in Curie House, I actually used to avoid eating with everyone so I can read while having lunch and dinner. I used to find every way I could to find time to read, and I never stopped reading through my entire medical school. I think I read every single book in our hostel library. I never stopped reading, during my residency in US. Even with three kids in the house, I always kept reading. It's like exercise, you say you have to make the time if you really care about it. It's not that you don't have time, you just somehow make the time if you're passionate about it. So
Yeah, I also remember devouring every single book in our Curie library. Of course, somehow I was always into fiction, and like what Venkatesh suggested, I used to be the opposite. I'll steer clear of anything that seems very serious, and I'm almost like that even now. But we can't be accusing only youngsters of not reading. Many of us who used to read a lot when we were younger are actually not reading now. So I think this is a wake up call to everyone, and the one of the good ways to bridge the generation gap will probably be for us oldies to read the books that you youngsters are reading, so that we get a better insight into what's going on in your minds. Dr. Ankala Subbrao, you had your camera on. Did you want to say something, sir?
You're muted.
Now, am I audible now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to ask him about my medical riddles and other things, because I've been active in the literary field ever since my 50th year. Since then, I've been writing books and also creating riddles, quizzes, etc., which are maybe they're not real books, but they may be literary content. And I don't know how far the medical students respond to this, because there's an alternative way of education through medical riddles. And I'd like to have the opinion of our young medical students whether this form of education is any way helpful to them. Sushma and others can respond.
Yes, sir, definitely. I would love riddles and puzzles. Anything that tickles my mind, seriously, to study. I do not like the monotonous and the mundane way that the didactic lecture that happens in the college right now. So riddles and quizzes would definitely help, sir. Yes.
I've written 2 books about that, and I'll
Okay.
keep in touch. I'll send the link.
Yeah, so I could, Sushma, I could connect you both up, and then maybe you can take it forward with the rest of your peers. And
Yes,
recently,
sir.
I was part of a trauma course, and we had a lot of youngsters. And one of the things they said is, "Oh, can't we not have the lectures at all? We'll have only the practicals." But you cannot do the riddle if you have not read the stuff. It's not going to come by divine this thing that you'll figure out the riddle. It's because you know what is behind it that you know you can answer the riddle, because you have the background knowledge. So of course it's the duty of the teachers to make the classes more interactive, or the lectures to be, but without the basic information, I don't think you can build on it. You can't be reading a book if you didn't know the alphabet or you didn't have the vocabulary, right? That came by uh, difficult learning, after which now it's a pleasure. So yeah, so anyone else has any comments or questions, just please put up your hand, because I'm not sure I'm seeing any questions in the chat box. So we have our author Piyush on the line, on the call. Piyush, what would you like to say to these youngsters who are also, many of them are actually writing as well? One of you wanted to say something. Did I interrupt you? Sorry.
I just wanted to say something. I also wanted to kind of add on Gayatri ma'am's point, where she talked about how her grandfather and her mother and her daughter are also really avid readers. I think, like, as kids, at least my habit kind of built from my family. I'm sure. I think your kids or your grandkids uh, would really be interested in reading, or when they've seen you read and be interested in it, because my grandfather was a very, very avid reader. And to this day, I still like to go back to his old books. And he also annotated in all of his books. So if I've read the book previously myself, I like to go back and look at his notes and see what he had to say about those books. So that's really interesting. And my father is not as big of a reader, but I remember as a kid, every single day I used to make him create a new story. So by the time I was around 3 years old, he created this entire multiverse with these characters called Chintu and Bantu and told me a new story every single day. So I think I kind of got my father into creative storytelling also that way. So I think it really impacts when we see our older generations, like our parents and other people reading. So I think that is a huge, profound impact on us.
Yeah, thank you, Chetna. That's really true. Most of us started reading because we saw our parents doing that, right? Or they read stories to us, and then we wanted to read it ourselves. Hari Krishnan sir, you have your hand up. You want to say something?
Yeah, just a little bit of advertisement here, if you don't mind. You're talking about somebody being an author and all that. I've published 2 books and I've conducted 2 workshops. Young people who want to write books. If any of you is interested, please do let me know. And I'd be more than happy to send a couple of copies of my 2 books for those who might be interested about animals. One is about a dog, and the other is about a memoir about a young doctor. So if you would like, I would be happy to send copies to the Rishikesh Ames. One of my colleague, GI surgeons, is now the present director, so I can send it through him. And then you would be more than happy. I would be more than happy to share our book club's meetings with you guys. If any of you wants to come and join us on a Wednesday evening, I assure you, you'll be having a fun time because it's a very, very unique kind of book club where people come up with hints about what book is going to be presented, and that makes it so much more exciting than just reading a book or dissecting a book. And at the end of it, invariably, most of the members would say that they want to buy that book. But please don't stop reading. Don't worry, your medicine will take care of yourself, but your growth as a person and as a human being will only improve if you read books all the time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Hari Krish Jr., you had your hand up.
Yes, I actually find it quite funny that we are being addressed as junior as well as senior because we are sharing the same name. I just actually wanted to add on to Venkatesh sir's opinion regarding reading nonfiction. So I guess it's because of my age, but I guess when I had actually started reading a couple of these books, and I found it to be a bit overwhelming. So I started Marcus Aurelius, but it was too hard for me to go past 3 pages. So that's when I actually came across a YouTube channel. It's called Predictive History. So it's actually a series of lectures given by somebody the name Professor Shang in Tsinghua University in Beijing. So they deal with the history of civilization. So over the past 2 millennia, how has human history evolved, and what are the major philosophies that have shaped world history, and how have certain philosophies actually evolved into certain religions, right? So it's, I guess, a total of 63 lectures, 63 videos in total. And the way how he explains it is so lucid and so wonderful that like as Puneet sir was telling, while he used to listen to audiobooks, I've actually started to do this. I've put my YouTube Premium and actually walk through Asta alongside the Ganges and spend an hour just listening to this. So if people who are interested in reading about philosophy and perhaps how it has shifted world history, which is, I think, what is more important, this is a really good YouTube channel. I shall actually put it in the comments so that if anybody is interested, they can head to that particular YouTube channel.
Thank you, Hari. That was an excellent suggestion. Thank you.
Sure, I appreciate it.
Vijay Krishnan, you have your hand up. Did you want to say something?
Mostly I'm here to mark attendance, so I am here, right?
Whom are you marking attendance to?
To the read to me kids who have bugged me to attend their sessions at various points of time, and I've shown up when I could. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the club because there's some stuff here that actually they did very well. So as the sessions, they've actually done a pretty good job of giving you a feel of what the sessions would be like. So it would stretch from the extremely personal to the political. And the thing about it is that it's always been a very collegial, very democratic sort of space where everyone gets the thing that they weren't able to do is to have that part of the session where other people would talk about what other people had read. So, and that would be from agreement to violent disagreement, and but always done with some amount of self control, and where faculty and students would sit together and talk about it, which is actually the big difference between. Reading for me as an undergraduate, at least, I will tell my undergraduate story at the end of this, but it was always something that was kept away from teachers, right? You didn't tell people that you were doing much by way of reading because it was something that was, but what would people say? And this was despite being a jipper where there was a very strong literary debating culture, which was. But despite that, so my story, which I can now tell since I'm not one of your teachers anymore, is that I once got chucked out of surgery posting for sitting in the corridor reading a book. Right. So one of our much loved SRs came along, saw me sitting there and said, "Why aren't you taking case? Why aren't you taking history? What, please leave." Right. So that's the kind of way that we've ended up finding time for reading. In retrospect, I think the SR was right. But that's probably because I crossed the line onto the other side of this particular battle. But yes, so yeah, mostly just to say hello and to let people know that this is what the club was like. Thank you.
Thank you. So, one interesting thing I could understand from what Puneet said, that it's, there's no hierarchy and all that. So I was extremely sort of fascinated to see these people addressing each other as sir and madam when they are not even 5 years apart. So some things just don't go, I think. Even when
I just texted her not to say boss.
Boss is at least a fun way. Okay, Hari Boss looks like a nickname, but everyone calling each other sir and madam, I thought, I don't think even 30 years ago we called somebody who was few years our senior as sir and madam. After
But actually,
the ragging
they're very
period of first
comfortable
month was
speaking.
over.
But they're very comfortable speaking. They address as if they're equals. It's just
Yeah,
the politeness is in saying, which is probably a good idea. Professor Shalini Rajaram is also there. I think, I remember one film club. So film club wasn't very successful there, although it was a long running. But I remember one movie where Dr. Shalini and Hari were the only two people, and we still ran the whole movie. And Dr. Shalini said it's the best movie she's ever seen. So it was a Japanese movie called Departures, which is on, the thing of medicine, the dignity of a profession. And I think the book also should be read. So we have books and movies both as pleasure and pain. Dr. Shalini is there, I think, online. Does she want to?
Shalini, would you
Because
like to
she
add
attend,
something?
yeah,
Yeah.
she's the most regular attendant of both the movie and the book club.
Yeah, I couldn't raise my hand. I couldn't find an icon to raise my
No problem.
hand.
Just turn
So
on your camera. That's fine.
I turned on my camera too now. I'm not visible. Am I heard?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're
I'm
heard
heard.
and seen.
I'm heard and seen. Yeah, I know this was the best part of getting away from clinical work and joining these young kids in a book club. It really took you away to another world where you could discuss things like Vijay Krishnan said, and cuss and discuss on various issues. And and I really loved it because, like you, I also love fiction. I read a lot of fiction, and I loved Gone with the Wind, or A Suitable Boy was one of my favorite books because the narrative is so good. But later on, historical fiction like Ramchandra Guha's book India After Gandhi was one of the best books I've read in recent years. And reading just takes you into another world. And there's something which is undescribable. Like the number of books you read, I don't even remember now so many. Like Book Thief is one of the best books I read. I think that was a narrative by Death himself. So it had a very different kind of feeling of a German who's not a Jew speaking from the other side, but having empathy for the Jews, which was very rare in the books that we read. It was almost for persecution of Jews. Yeah, things like that. And I like the actually the literature part, the language part, the narrative part. That makes a lot of difference. Like that's what I love, and what these kids. Through these kids, you get to know that the genre that they read is very different and yeah, like this, many of them liked horror a lot. They liked crime a lot. Like some things that I stay away from is horror and crime, but murder mysteries, yes, murder mysteries were good. So there were some people who really liked these dark books. There was one guy who really liked these dark books, and he went into depths about explaining those dark books, and I was wondering how can people read those dark books. But yeah, when Puneet was there, the movie club was good, and so books and movies go together. I think a lot of people like the book aspect, but as I like the movie aspect too. So, what was the book? What was the movie we saw, which was about
Departures.
the departure? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Departures.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Dr. Shalini, incidentally, your favorite author, Ramchandra Guha's sister, is Dr. Vani, who's also on the call.
Oh, I really like Ramchandra Guha, and I think one of my resident has given me another book which I've not yet read. But he's got such a good narrative that you can read him like you can read him nonstop. Yeah.
Thank you, Shalini. And this time we'll give a little extra time to Radhakrishna because among all of probably he has as many books as all of us put together. So Radhakrishna, your thoughts about today's session?
It's like a breath of fresh air, I should say. Seeing all these youngsters, I think the culprit is Punit. He's the one who sowed the seed of this book club, book reading. As somebody is mentioning, I think the book reading comes from your childhood. If you're in a convent school and your parents are well read and you have books at home, and that's how it starts. Many of us didn't have that sort of opportunity. And the first time I saw, I always felt that people who read books are the ones who are aloof and they want to hide behind books and they are not sociable. I'm surprised that all of them came together under one umbrella and exchanged ideas. First time I saw is a classmate of mine carrying Mills and Boons in her pocket, coat pocket, and I was wondering what is Mills and Boons all about. I don't know whether the present generation know about it, but I think one of the early books I started is Enid Blyton, the famous five, the six bad boys, and I used to imagine that I'm a character in that, and it's a dream, and it's all British Western and toasted bread and all that stuff. That is no way could relate to what's happening at home or whatever. I mean, that's the first time, and the book I really liked, Puneet, I should tell you, is Who Moved My Cheese? That's a life altering book. It's a very simple book because I started reading books which are very small, printed in big letters, and quickly, half an hour to 1 hour, you can finish. Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus is another book sort of, impressed me. I could understand because Hari was talking Greek and Latin for quite a while. So, it's very difficult to catch. My son, if I recommend something, he says, what do you know? Or if I ask him if anything about a book he read, he says, Appa, you not understand what I say. Like that's a generation thing. I don't know how, Puneet, you could connect with these youngsters, how your thoughts matched and how they could, fall in line with your way of thinking. Yeah, you want to say something here?
No. It's just that, the choices were very similar. Like Animal Farm was that what somebody said, all animals are equal, but some are more equal. The whole concept of totalitarianism, communism, and how, so I think it's transgenerational. I mean, just to suggest to Hari, I don't think you'll look at nonfiction in a heavy way. The ones he said, the Who Moved My Cheese, exactly 15 to 20 minutes, you can finish the book, and it's a life-altering management issue, and I think I've kept on moving my cheese because of that, career-wise and every which way because of that book only. And the other one is I don't think anybody's mentioned that, so I just thought I'll put in, is Malcolm Gladwell. So all his books, they're so readable because he continuously gives you examples that you don't feel it's non-fiction. So those are my suggestions. Sorry, Pata, go ahead.
No, see, I mean, I like the festival, the titles and the contents. Actually, I took a photograph of that. Puneet, could you get these things going in corporate sector? Because in corporate hospitals, I don't see anybody reading books or sharing. See, reading book is one thing, and sharing what you read is another thing. You don't get a chap.
No, I think you're absolutely spot on because when I've been putting up all the other sessions of marvelous medicine for our own MBBS students in Amrita, they all said when you have the book club, please share it with us. And what you just said about sharing, I think people don't want to know other people to know what they're reading. Just like I would definitely like Dr. Shalini get judgmental about somebody reading horror, but one of our colleagues, Dr. Latika, she continuously sees only crime stuff and all that. How much you suggest movies which are different? She wants to see. So I don't think we should be judgmental because each one has a different perspective and take. And these book clubs help you to see those different perspectives. Reading the books actually makes you see those different perspectives. So I can see why Patas, the entire every time you read a article in the LGS, you realize that he's shown the mirror to us in different ways. Like Jonathan Swift says, a satire is like Gulliver's Travels was one of my favorite first one where it's all fantasy. But what he says is satire is like a mirror where everyone sees, you can see everybody else's face but your own. So I think that's a fantastic way of looking at all these things as well.
Yeah. No, those little programs in that pyrexia are quite interesting. Now I want to copy paste them somewhere because we can have that literary thing coming injected into our group somewhere and do a program of that nature. Even in I think corporate sector, it's possible. And there'll be a lot of unearthed treasure will be there somewhere. Only when you start working. See, I think every medico is some sort of a reader, some sort of an artist, some sort who's good at drawing, painting. If you really unearth those things, I think we'll get many more people coming out. Now, as Venkatesh is suggesting, actually, I have a reasonable collection of books, but very little fiction. I'm into non-fiction, and I feel that in my library there are thousands of mentors, dead mentors. You will say a lot of interesting things which we don't get to hear otherwise. So this is a very great thing of reading non-fiction. But of course, I think our book club members will sort of get elevated to this reading non-fiction after a while, after they get bored with all the fiction they've read. See, I mean, I don't know, Puneet, how we can spread this book club culture in the rest of the medical schools across the country, across hospitals, because so much. English such a lovely language. If you really read and think how can you spread that? How can you do that? I think that is something we should do.
I think when you were talking about pyrexia, that's a thought which came to me. In Rishikesh when COVID happened, it was just about a month or two before pyrexia, and the students were completely disappointed because it was broken up and all that. So we have Director Meenu Singh who's just joined us now. But her predecessor, Dr. Ravikant, actually changed it to a radio. He says, these kids are going to get on my nerves. So he started the radio pyrexia. So that may be a good way. I think it's time that we rejuvenate the radio pyrexia because an FM channel, you can pick it up anywhere on the internet and have books, the same book readings and all that. So, and I think all these things are by the induction, people end up joining because you realize something interesting. Like somebody said that people think it's nerdy, but actually it's not. Once they have fun in that and realize the beauty of words, I think everybody wants to join and we can induce more people. So I think, Pata, you could be the anchor for that, given your posture for all these kind of things. So that's a thought. We could do that, especially medically directed. Like Doctor, I sent Dr. Rajagopal my whiteboard photograph where I've written for all the MBBS students they must read Being Mortal and Walk with the Wary. And he says, I'm so impressed being, part of that, being so close to being mortal. He's being funny also.
I would like to know from the Ames Rishikesh book club members, are there, do you all write also what you read? Do you write summaries? Do you write, is there any platform where, where we can get to read what you've written? Do you do that? Are reading and writing goes hand in hand, Harish? Hari Krishna?
So on a personal note, I do have an alternate Instagram channel where I write. I had in fact read out what I had written about Animal Farm. It was my review about Animal Farm, which I
Right.
read out loud. Apart from that, the newsletter that we circulate every month usually has writings of my juniors or my batchmates, and that's usually published either once a month or once in 2-3 months. So this, I think it's the sixth edition that's coming now. It started just this year. So it's like that, sir. And people have their own like separate Instagram channels or Goodread accounts wherein they actually put these reviews. In fact, I got to know about this from my seniors. He and Harmendra ma'am, I think her name was mentioned by Tanya ma'am. She's actually an avid user of Goodreads, and from her reviews only, I also got to know about the books that are to be read. And that's
Yeah, we
how.
couldn't get her here. She
She's
didn't
a
pick up the phone. She was
medical
one of the most
student, so
eloquent.
did the
Yeah.
session today.
Ma'am, she's
Apparently, they
flying.
have something called book clubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, but Subhendra, you can be loud and you can come on
From
screen.
All India Institute, Rishikesh.
Yeah, it's so lovely meeting all you youngsters. Actually, first time we're meeting youngsters in this platform, and thanks to
additional
Puneet
books
for
and
bringing all
special.
together.
Dr. Meenu Singh, would you like to say something?
No, I was enjoying all the conversation which was going on. Actually, I joined a little late. I was at Ames Delhi. We were having some kind of research consortium meeting. And Puneet, actually, we had Lalit Dhar also there, and he was remembering you today, just by the way. And about book
Very avid
reading,
reader also.
yeah, yeah. So about book reading, we are all very fond of reading, and like I have read many type of literatures, like of course English and Hindi and Punjabi. Also, I was very fond of Shiv Patalvi, so I kind of learned Punjabi for reading his poems. That was another thing. But
Urdu
for
poetry. Urdu is
Urdu
so
also,
fantastic.
Urdu poetry I'm really fond of, and I know Urdu also. So
Urdu
Ghalib,
poetry.
we read Ghalib ka Diwan Ghalib. So, what I want to say is that the new generation is actually very, very smart, and I find these kids. I mean, I call them kids, but they are not kids. They are young men,
Adults.
Gen Z, and they are into writing. They are into reading. They are into organizing things. Like you talked about pyrexia. We've had 3 pyrexias so far when I joined, and every time they come out with so much of creativity and organizational ability because they get the best of stars to perform there and they collect all the money for that. And along with that, they are also doing this type of contests like, reading or writing poetry and doing all kind of creative things. So, as I was saying, doctors are quite capable of becoming artists sometimes, they can paint and they can write. So, actually, I have a book called The Crackle of Leaves, which I have authored. I have written poetry opposite some of the paintings, which actually my daughters make, and I've also done a few paintings in that book. So, someday I'll read that book to you. We had done once one book reading session in Ames Rishikesh when we were having the Y20 consultation. At that time, a lot of these students had also come out with. In fact, this Tanya, she had written a book and published a book also, and I had that book with me. She was one of our interns at that time. I don't know whether she joined the party today or not.
Yeah,
No.
she's very much
Good
there.
evening, ma'am. So good to see you, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you? So, where are you right now? You have
Hostel room, ma'am.
joined your PG, right?
Yes, ma'am, I've already joined. Ma'am, I'm already feeling left out.
Very good.
I couldn't bring my AIMS
So,
Rishikesh here, but I'm trying to make my AIMS Rishikesh here. It's so good to
yes.
see everyone.
Yeah,
So
very
good.
nice to see you. So I was remembering your book, which I
Thank you
once
so
read
much,
while we are
ma'am.
traveling in the plane.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I have
some
that
of these,
screenshot also.
yeah, yeah.
Thank
So
you,
I would
ma'am.
like to we should do it more often, this meeting which we did today. And really nice talking to all of you young people. So thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Puneet.
Yes,
And
the
thank you,
books, the
Vidya.
Standard and
Yeah.
Beyond will have to go online also, I think. Other than your physical meeting,
Yes.
there's going to be a clamor for it
Yeah.
to be done online
Yeah.
as well.
Hmm.
It was a real pleasure seeing people from across age groups participating today, and many marvelous medicine faculty who were also there. Who have been on marvelous medicine in both in the beyond medicine as well as the technical episodes. So we'll meet again next week with another episode of Marvelous Medicine. Till then, take care and stay safe. Good night.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having us. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
You should join us in our next read to a
Thank you
session
so much,
and
ma'am,
read
for
us all
having
your
me as
works.
well.
Done,
Yeah.
done, done.